Hey everybody, welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassi.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And what a week. Am I right? Wow. We struggled a bit to find anything to talk about that wasn't, I don't know, awful.
Purely depressing, truly.
I'll be honest, I was barely on any social media this week and just trying to avoid all things. In fact, I tried to avoid TikTok the most just because I was like, it's the new place I like a lot. So I'm like I was like, don't let it be ruined with everything. Like it's just heavy. Everything's so heavy. And I'm like, nothing feels safe. Nothing feels good. So
yeah, I will say this is, I texted you guys we always text about like silly little things, and I had texted you guys last week or a week and a half ago being like, oh, Mercury is about to go back into retrograde, like haha, LOL. And
bitch,
it has been
swear.
The most wild time. Like I genuinely feel like the planets are just bullying every single person on Earth right
For
now.
sure.
Just personally, and then also just like what's going on in the world is so dark and tough to take in,
Yeah. I don't know that Mercury's retrograde doesn't actually 100% just have a vendetta against you, Keegan, personally. Because when I talk about having a bad week, nobody knows. Like, yes, everybody's had a bad week. Like this has been, the timeline is that we are living in right now is the
Truly.
worst. But Keegan, you had a very particular hell, which felt very pointed. I felt like definitely the universe was like, you know what? Fuck you.
Genuinely, I feel like the last couple of months have been kind of that. It's just like one thing after another to the point where I'm just like, yeah, okay. This seems...
Yeah, that makes sense.
This seems right. So I am still in Missouri. I got COVID. So I have been inside for the last 5 days, which is, just... eating canned soup and drinking Gatorade is basically like what I've been doing. And that's been particularly hard because I have very little to distract myself with. Like I can't go anywhere or like see anybody. So I am on social media all the time. And I'm like, this is a hellscape.
Well, I'll tell you what's great for anxiety is social media.
Oh God.
Especially this past week. And it's really all like just tragedy. It's so hard. Yeah.
It's tragedy. And then I know we're not going to really go into this because we try to keep it light and fun over here. But it's tragedy. And then it's the same kind of tragedy over and over and over. And it just feels like you end up feeling really hopeless. I think that's the problem. Yeah.
I felt very particularly this time in particular, very like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like this time has been particularly like every other time I'm mad, I do the things, you go through the emotions. This time I'm like, I don't know that I don't know. I just don't know how to process it.
The one thing that I am actually like super glad that I saw, I've been trying to stay away from this, but I saw that that Johnny Depp trial is going to jury, and I'm like, yes, it's almost done.
Oh my gosh,
I'm so fucking tired.
I feel like it has been going on for so long. Like
I know.
Just
I don't want to know any of this.
I don't.
Why are you forcing me to know these
It's
things?
kind of like I feel like it's like some trauma that happens in your family that your mom cannot stop telling you about. That's what it feels like.
Oh my God. That's so accurate.
Right? and it's like you've heard it so much and you've grown up with it, but now you're like you can see like their responsibility in it, and you're just like, oh my God, like the story you're telling yourself about this thing is so false. And I'm just, oh yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. And it's an interesting thing. I know we have really stayed away from talking about that very intentionally, but really the longer it goes on and the more that I see, it's just like, oh, it just feels icky all over.
It's icky.
I just feel icky about all of it, and just like you said, like also that I shouldn't be bearing witness to it either.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like
Mom, you should not tell me about this. Like, Mom, I hear what you're saying, but I actually love Aunt June, and I would actually like to not. I don't need to know this. Like, I wanna maintain my relationship of just I know them on the surface.
Right.
I don't need to. Don't air all that dirty laundry, ma'am.
Yeah, it really is. It's dirty laundry season.
Yes,
is what it feels like.
Oh yeah,
because you were telling us before we started recording.
Yes,
a nice little tidbit of dirty laundry.
I mean, it's not even dirty laundry necessarily. It's just like again. So Nick Cannon has gotten another woman pregnant.
Listen,
hello.
This is baby number 8.
God.
And
damn.
of course, he had to have a maternity shoot with his new baby mama.
You guys, does he
have a punch card?
Right? Like, what does he get?
Is he trying to get one for free?
Sub sandwich?
Yes. His 11th is free. Oh my God.
What?
Okay.
I need to know the theme.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
no.
it's just them walking on the beach. So that feels
Okay.
very like understated for Nick
Wait,
Cannon.
share.
What?
Show the picture.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. So it's just them walking on the beach.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Soup's cash.
Soup's cash. But
He has a problem, you guys.
they captioned the photo, baby moonin'. I still just can't believe it. Baby,
Can't you?
Baby C, mommy and daddy love you so much already. And there's some kind of like moon theme they have going on here, or they're naming the baby something to do with
No.
the moon.
Baby moon is a thing that you do right before you have a baby. So it's like your last getaway.
Oh, that makes sense.
Baby
this is how
mooning, yes.
this is how little I know about anything
Yes.
to do with having children. I'm like,
we need to talk about this. He literally has a thing. Like there's something going on.
Is he like? Is this like a religious thing that he's doing? That he's
Populating the world
this much for some kind.
I
There's
don't
a
know.
fetish.
Has anyone ever just asked him right out, like, is this your goal? Is this something that you want to do? Like, is it an accident, or are all these babies planned? Like, I don't understand. Like, it's so many baby mamas, which again, like, do what you do, whatever, but it's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like. I mean, I don't know the situations with the mothers, but like, are they going into this like wholeheartedly? Or I don't know. It seems,
and I also I don't see how you can give adequate attention to all of those children, especially if they're in a bunch of different households. Because, like, how are you making the rounds enough to, like, spend time with all of them? I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Right.
Like, not my circus, not my monkeys, right? But, like...
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, there is something going on. This is, like, a real level of... I don't know if it's fetishism. I don't know if there's, like, a disorder or, like, what. Like, it really feels very, like, problematic.
Yeah.
It's problematic. Having impregnated so many women, it does feel very much like a fetish. It feels like there's something going on. There's something deeper than surface level. Like, it just feels very
Well, yeah, and we had this conversation last time we talked about Nick Cannon.
I know. The fact that we're having this conversation again, bruh.
Yeah. We had this conversation last time that it also, I think as women, we view it differently, because if the situation was reversed and it was a woman who had 8 like different baby daddies, like children with
be lambasted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's
Wow.
part of it for me as well, is just like, and I know we've talked about this before, but like, I think that's a big part of it, is just like, for some reason, we don't view men the same way.
We don't. Gosh, even the energy around Angelina Jolie adopting so many children, not even having that many children or whatever, but just adopting and having so many children was just like, gosh, what do you build? It's like people went bonkers about that. You're just like,
well, as we very well know, especially in the last couple of months, people like to have opinions about women's reproductive choices.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They love to have opinions, especially when it doesn't concern them in the least. But it kind of, I don't understand why Nick Cannon's not getting the same kind of examination that like you were saying, Keegan, that a woman would.
I wonder if it's because we as a society tend to view women as caretakers. So even though Angelina Jolie didn't birth all of those children, we know that she's going to be their primary caretaker of that many children. Whereas in one home. Whereas like obviously that's not going to be the case with Nick Cannon. Like he cannot be the primary caretaker to all those children, short of having primary custody of all of them and all of them living at home with him, which he doesn't have. So I think maybe we think of it differently because like his amount of responsibility day to day is lower.
His amount of responsibility is zero. His amount of responsibility
he
is
just sets up the photo shoot.
That's right. That's right. He just wow. Anyway, woof. It is. I'm sorry. To me, this is so problematic. It really is. It's just, to me, there is nothing there. Wow. He has zero.
I try not to be too judgmental because like families can look all different kinds of ways. And if you're managing your business, I don't know what goes on in the ins and outs of Nick Cannon's life. Like who knows?
Right.
But from the outside looking in, certainly it's like, it's just unusual. Let's say that and be nice about it. It's unusual for sure.
I just feel it's purposeful is what it feels like. It's not like, oops, I keep knocking people up. It feels purposeful.
It does feel
That's
that
the
way.
difference that I'm having.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
wow.
Well, on a lighter note,
yes,
there is thankfully a lighter side to TikTok that apparently my For You page has just, our For You page, by the way, our For You page is literally just my worst date because I don't have my own. And so I'm sorry, you guys. I have made our For You page an absolute thirst trap.
That's. I've noticed that. I was
You're welcome.
Who is curating the My Worst Date
For
You page? And then I switch
I'm on
profile.
there as well, but
I think you mean thank you.
All of the thirst trapping is definitely Cassie. Like I remember when we were in Austin, and Cassie, the three of us are in the living room of our Airbnb, and like Cassie went down a thirst trap rabbit hole in front of our eyes. Like me and Christina are trying to have like a conversation and Cassie's just over there.
I was over it.
Watching
hot.
thirst trap
sweaty.
after thirst trap.
I was like, I need Mama's thirsty.
I'll tell you, my favorite thirst trap, I've got to say the chopping wood guy, Thor Bradley.
Ooh wee.
Yeah.
That guy, I mean, it does make me feel feelings that I am very uncomfortable about. Like
he exploded a watermelon with his thighs.
Girl, and then had the audacity to look at me in my fucking eyes when he finished. I was like, sir, and then ate it
and juice dripping. No, one time he got me on this one video where he's like chopping a big piece of wood or whatever, and he's like, it's like grunts, and then he's like, open for me is what he said, and I was like,
oh god, I saw that one.
Stop,
sir,
it now,
sir.
Open for me, yes, sir. Yes. So yeah, Thor Bradley is my my TikTok crush.
She calls him Daddy Bradley. I have a few. I will tell you the most wholesome thing that I am watching, though, is Derek Downey Jr. That man and his squirrels. This man literally outside feeding his fucking cute ass little baby squirrels, like all his little squirrel friends.
Big hot guys with animals is definitely,
Yeah, it is a gender bended Disney princess. For real.
Yes.
Like he's just out there communing with the local wildlife.
Oh my
and
God.
That man's arms Are you kidding me? He has like the most beautiful arms I've ever seen. And he's out there just like feeding little baby squirrels. It's so cute.
Delicate.
Adorable.
Talking to him. He talks trash to him too, which I love because you get like he's funny. Like he's like, don't let them treat you that way. He like big ups them.
Yeah.
I know that I've shared it with you guys so many times, but that he's like an Indian guy. His name is Rahul Rai. That guy is smoking hot. And he is so funny. He is so funny. And he does all of those, like, all of his thirst trap transitions are just to him in a suit.
Yes.
Because like all the time, you usually like the thirst trap transitions, like, you know, they're doing whatever. And then they're like, they don't have their shirts on or they're like, whatever. Yeah. Like it's just always a transition to him in a suit. And I'm like, effective.
Yep.
Works every time.
Love it.
Yeah. I think we have our fuck, marry, kill.
TikTok hotties.
Yeah.
TikTok thirst traps.
Okay. Oh God.
Well, shit.
Oh no,
well,
this is hard. This is actually really, really hard.
I'm gonna marry Rahul.
Yeah,
he's funny.
That sense of humor, that wit, and then his like smirk is so charming.
Yeah,
so sexy.
He's not afraid to look a little silly too, which I appreciate.
The best TikTok videos together. Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You'd be like couples goals.
Definitely. So yeah, I gotta marry him, and then this one's hard though.
Very.
Who to F?
I know who you're gonna.
We know
Thor.
Come on.
Yeah. Who is not gonna fuck Thor?
He crushed a watermelon between his thighs. Ooh. God damn.
I'm a little concerned for your safety though.
I'm not.
Not me either.
Don't call. I'm fine.
The safe word is banana.
Wet bread.
Exactly. So yeah, no, that was
and we're gonna friend. Times are too tough.
Yeah, that's true.
You're absolutely right. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, we're gonna friend. So you can friend Derek.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, we're gonna open up like a rescue.
Yeah.
Oh. This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Best of friends. I am going to marry Derek.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I am. He's so cool. He's chill. He's laid back. I love that attitude. That kind of like just mellow yellow dude.
You do.
Just sitting, talking to his squirrels. The pep talks he gives to the squirrels are the thing that I strive for in my life. And I just love that I want to be around that energy all the time.
I feel like need that because you're such a fire sign. Like you definitely need like a calming, chill energy. Like you have that in Chris. Chris is like that. So I feel like that's perfect for you.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to fuck Thor.
Yeah.
God damn.
I know.
The suspenders. Can we talk about that?
When he takes them off, though.
Oh my God. I know. Yeah.
I may need to take a quick break. I'll be right back. I'm going to friend Rahul.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense for me so much.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
I actually feel like we already are friends. I don't know if he knows that. Is it weird?
Okay, speaking of TikTok hotties, I know we're not talking about this guy right now, but Andrewski on TikTok, somebody tagged him in one of the videos that I had posted on our TikTok, and I was like,
swoon.
I was like,
we
what
might have to do a part 2 because I forgot I have a massive crush on Kyle Prue.
Oh, and Kyle Prue, forget it. All those guys are on my list. Oh my gosh. And then there's Don't Call Dom, who I also love.
Yes.
Who is hilarious. He wears like crop tops and like lipstick and nail polish. He's so hot.
Kyle Prue is the one that's like, these are the top 5 things you can say to piss off men. And he's like, I will look at my back there.
I'm like to a voice. Kyle Prue's voice is like
absolutely
so hot. Okay, but we're not talking about them right now.
Okay,
it's not their time to shine. Okay, I am gonna do exactly what Christina did. I am gonna marry Rahul. I just think he's so funny and so hot. Like I'm just like I feel like it's almost overwhelming to me because I'm like, how are you this funny and this hot?
Yeah.
Like I wonder if he was always hot. or if he has like an ugly duckling thing happening.
No. He couldn't have been, because that energy comes from
right?
being an ugly duckling.
Has to.
Definitely.
I'm like, there's no way you grew up this hot. Whereas I think Thor was always hot. Like he's giving me confidence of like, I was always hot and strong and good at chopping wood.
But I've seen him now on videos where he's not chopping wood, where he's like a guest on a podcast or what have you. And he seems really funny and like nice.
Right. I did that TikTok off of him.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, why do you chop so much wood? I'm like, why are you guys asking so many questions? Like, shut up. Let the man chop his wood.
We don't need those kinds of answers. But I definitely, I mean, I've seen what he can do with a tree stump. So I'm feeling very, I hear the way he talks to that wood. So I feel like a night with him would be good.
What if it was so disappointing? What if you're like, oh no.
Well, I mean,
oh no.
If he treated you half as good as he treated that piece of wood, you're going to be fine.
Oh yeah. He's treating you with like care, but also like just the right amount of aggressiveness.
Yeah.
You know.
So treat me like the wood. We're fine.
Yeah.
I'll
and
manage
then
the rest.
Squirrel Guy, I love him. I love him. I feel like though him and I might have just like a little too much sensitive energy together to be married. Like
you guys would be awful together in the most obnoxious way, not like bad, but in the way that no one could handle being around the two of you.
No, because we would both. It would be gross. Truly, yeah. Like, but
your
as
feelings
friends,
would have feelings.
Yeah, exactly. We'd be talking about our feelings all.
You guys
the
would just
time.
cry.
Yeah.
I feel so much, and he's like, I know, man.
God forbid.
I feel so much.
God forbid one of our squirrel friends dies. Can you imagine? Our household would shut down. I cried when my goldfish died. I can't handle it.
When we first started this podcast, you were talking about the skunk that you had.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember you were doing all this stuff to try to keep a baby skunk. So
yeah. So I mean, but as friends, I think that we'd go on like long hikes together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. 100.
I feel good about our decisions.
I like this for us.
Yeah. Me too.
See.
Well, I think we definitely got our money's worth for the TikTok thirst trap round 1, but I know we've got a round 2 in us. So
definitely. The amount of time I spend on that app, please. I have so many crushes now at this point.
Friends.
People who don't know I exist at all.
Worsties, tag us in thirst traps.
Totally, please.
Yeah, because you know Cassie will be the one to see them for sure. She'll pass along the good ones. Well, we have a new patron this week.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to give a big worsty welcome to Emily Lionhard. Lionhard. That's probably how you say your last name. Please let me know. I don't know why. I get so scared every time. Like even names that I feel like I should know how to pronounce.
Miller?
Yeah.
Is
precisely. I'm like Emily. Like I my brain just gets so terrified that I'm gonna say it wrong. But regardless, Emily, thank you so much for joining us on Patreon. We are so thrilled to have you. If you have any suggestions for anything that you would like to hear us talk about or cover, do not hesitate to reach out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're back. Okay, I think Christina has the Tainted Love this week.
No,
Is
it's
that right?
me.
Oh, it's Cassie. Oh gosh, my brain. All right, you want to kick us off with stories, Cass?
I will. This girl is so... I'm sorry. We are sitting in front of my window and it's like watching, like it's like we're being in a fishbowl, and this girl is like freaking out about one of the squirrels up in the tree. Sorry, got so distracted there for a second. Okay, so I'm going to tell a story that we actually shared at our live show. And I'm going to share it here because I know we have people who missed our live show, and I know we have people, I don't think our recording came up that great, so I don't think we're going to be able to share it, but I wanted to be able to share this story. So here we go. Hi, ladies. I'm a new listener of about a month. I've binged nearly every episode. You make my hour commute to work so much more enjoyable, so thank you for that.
Aw.
Anyways, here's my story. It's pretty short and there is no actual date, thankfully. So here it goes. So I was about 19 at the time, a freshman in college at a D1 university. I came from a small town, so it was definitely a huge culture shock for me. That being said, I was enamored by all the different people from different backgrounds, one of these people being Caleb, we'll call him. So I can imagine, because I'm from, Ohio, and I think that's, Ohio State is an enormous school. And I can see just coming from a small town to a big college, how cool, but also nerve wracking that could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it always makes me think of in Annie when they're like NYC and you get there and it's just stars in your eyes and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. The big city lights. Caleb and I met on Twitter. He was a sophomore lacrosse player with long curly hair, a political science major who came from money. Our conversation began as flirty banter, but being two eager, young, college-educated individuals, we began having long talks about politics and other meaningful topics. Such a far cry from the people from my hometown. I know this person. I remember this age.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember this so much. I could have written this. Of course, being the emotional girl I was, I caught feelings pretty quickly. I've always been the type of person who values good conversation and brains over looks, but at the time, he had both. He admittedly told me he wasn't really looking for a relationship, just, quote, friends with benefits type situation. My 19-year-old self agreed, hoping and praying that once we started sleeping together, he'd realize he actually had feelings for me.
This is the most 19
I remember
you could ever be.
Having that exact same thought. That is a very 19-year-old thought.
We've
for sure.
all done it. We've all been there.
I can change him. He'll fall in love with me.
My pussy's going to be so good at 19 that he's just not going to know what to do with himself.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, after a few months of this friends with benefits situation, the day finally came. He asked me on a date on Valentine's Day. I was so excited and shocked I knew he'd come around. Plot twist. He, in fact, did not come around. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, I woke up on Valentine's Day. I sent him a text saying something like, "Hey, what's the plan for today?" Instantly, I got a text back. Well, a picture, actually. To my horror, I opened my phone to see a selfie of him he had taken in his bed with another girl's ass, smiling away next to pink and white polka dot underwear.
Why? Why would you think that that's a good idea? Even to send to your girlfriends who are just your friends.
Because
I don't want that even from my guy friends.
Oh.
Ever.
No.
Why would you do that?
No.
Right.
He is a 19-year-old man. That's why. That's the only explanation here. I was obviously devastated and horrified. After that, I stopped sleeping with him and moved on. For some reason, I did kind of remain friends/acquaintances with him. Kind of a happy ending, though, because I will forever have the last laugh. Since then, he's admitted he wishes he had wifed me up. Went to this day. He sends me the occasional message saying, "Do you and your boyfriend break up yet?" It's been 7 years.
Caleb.
I told my parents about it
on.
after. I told my parents about it after it happened, and they now refer to him as, quote, the ass man. And every once in a while, they bring it up and we'll laugh about it. Thank you, ladies, for reading my story, even if it doesn't end up on the podcast, which it has. I hope you can get a laugh out of this because I certainly do.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet, honestly. I mean, it's a lesson we all have to learn. You can't. It's that whole. I think it's on TikTok. Is if they want to, they will.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's something that you could laugh about now, but I feel like at 19, that would have been
it's devastating.
Devastating.
Oh,
devastating.
absolutely. Yeah.
I do think, though, it's one of those things that like you're like, oh, younger self, if you could go back, blah 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 blah. I think it's a character development thing that needs to happen to every one of us, because if it doesn't, I think that there are people that hasn't happened to. You know, you've met those people and they're like a little too, like you think you're a little
naive.
Too good for the world, don't you?
Yeah. They're just too naive. Like, you know, you have to, like, that's part of the human experience is like, you have to have your heart broken at some point, you know, and you also have to learn to believe people when they tell you who they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he told her
right like, off the bat. Yeah.
Mm-mm. And we've all done it, you know? Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh,
so
yeah. No, there's loving somebody that doesn't love you back. That
the
feeling.
Brutal.
The pain. That's why there's been so much art created out of that. It's just like so many songs, so many poems, so many books that are like based in that, because every single person has felt that, and there is no worse feeling.
Right.
Oh,
we wouldn't have Vincent Van Gogh if we're not that feeling, right?
Well, that's that, and a few other things that were going on with him. But yeah. Okay. I have a story here.
Okay.
There was this guy who I met on Tinder and had been on a couple of dates with. On our third date, he invited me out to a show. I was really excited because I was actually pretty into him. Once we were at the venue, he casually mentioned that a friend of his was going to meet up with us. I didn't think much of it. Well, I met his friend, and she seemed nice enough, but pretty uncomfortable. When he went to the bathroom, I tried to make small talk and asked, "So, how do you know Dude Face?" She said, "I don't." It turned out that he had just found her on Tinder and invited her to our date.
No. What?
When we confronted him about it, he said that he was hoping for a threesome.
Oh, come on,
sir.
Bro, there's fucking apps for that. There's whole ass apps for
there are
that
so many
thing.
other ways to go about this. He literally thought that if he got two bi girls in the same room, he could trick us into a threesome.
Just the magic's gonna happen for this motherfucker. It ain't, bruh.
The girl and I ended up leaving and getting drinks together without him.
Fuck that.
I hope that worked out. I hope those two got into a relationship, you know.
I feel bad for bi girls on Tinder.
Oh yeah,
actually, because like it feels like everyone's trying to make a unicorn out of them and shit like that, and it just
Yep. The fetishization of bi women, especially, is so gross.
Oh, I love the fact too. He's just like, that's all I need to do to make a threesome happen. Just you know,
you
He's
just
like genius.
Trick 'em.
It's ingredients exactly. Just put this in and then add this. Whammo bammo. Threesome.
That's not how that works. Well, I got a story that was written into us. The title, "My Worst Date in a Church Car Park."
Oh my God.
Oh God. Say no more. Say less. Already I'm like, yeah, that is the worst date.
She says, "Hi, I discovered your podcast and I'm so excited that I have the entire back catalog to get through." Girl, you got I actually saw on Podchaser the other day that end to end, the amount of content that we have out right now is 14 days worth.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
So we have been talking straight for 2 weeks. So yeah, that's great. I've been listening, wishing I had a story to share, and then this came back to me. I think I must have repressed the memory. It happens.
That happens so often. That's happened to me so much in trying to like think of content for TikTok, where I'm like, oh my God, I forgot I did that thing when I was 14.
Yep. So she says, when I was 18, I was working at this big grocery store stacking shelves. I started chatting and flirting with one of the guys in the warehouse who was gorgeous. He was 30, which I thought was fine at the time. Now it's a red flag. I'm 30 and 18-year-olds seem like actual children.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because they are. Yes. So we start texting and we arrange to meet up one evening. He says he'll pick me up at 8 p.m. and I get myself dressed to maybe go for a nice meal or some drinks. I'm in the UK. Drinking age is 18. He picks me up and drives me to a church car park. Is that a parking lot in the U.S.? Yes, it is. Anyways, it was out of the way and pretty quiet. He pulls up and gets out a joint. I'm thinking, okay,
church parking lot
maybe.
You're 30. This is your first date material.
Oh,
like this is what a 17-year-old would do. Like drive to an empty parking lot.
That's why
and light
he's
up a
trying
joint.
to date 18-year-olds.
Yeah,
because he wants to continue to be 18.
Yeah, it's the Matthew McConaughey and Dazed and Confused situation.
My God, it is. They say the same age.
Yep.
Gross.
All right. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we're just going to smoke this and then go somewhere else. Didn't really want to go on a first date high, but he was older and quote unquote cool, so I stupidly went along with it. So we're smoking and chatting, which leads to kissing, and then he just whacks his dick out and asks for a blowjob.
Oh my God, the audacity, dude.
18-year-old me made many bad decisions and ending up in a church parking lot in the dark, alone, stoned, with a 30-year-old man with his dick out ranks quite highly up there. I actually have been in almost exactly the same position. It wasn't a church, it was a mall parking lot, so don't feel too bad.
Yeah. God still can see you.
I ended up doing it because bad decisions. I wanted to impress him, and I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot, honestly.
No, you're not an idiot.
Yeah, we've all had.
Yep, we've all been there.
We all been there.
Yep.
While I'm doing it, he shoves his hand down my trousers and is rummaging around like a drunk girl at the end of the night, trying and failing to find her keys in the bottom of her handbag.
I know this guy.
Descriptive.
I know this guy.
No.
Where they're like rubbing, and you're like, where you think?
Where are you going,
Where do you think this is? Yeah, exactly.
Sir, get a map.
He finishes, puts himself away, and then just drives me home. Maybe I was naive, but I genuinely thought we were going to go somewhere to get to know each other. I snuck up to my room so I didn't have to explain to my mom why my dates only lasted 30 minutes.
My God.
There was no
I feel
second
so
date.
bad for her. That is so sad.
Especially when I found out a few weeks later that he was engaged with an 8-month pregnant fiance. Which explains why he didn't take me out anywhere. And also, he's a selfish knobhead who just wanted a blowjob. Probably a combination of the two. Absolutely. That's the fucking worst. And then you have to work with that person.
No.
There's a lot of lessons here.
Oh, no.
To work with somebody who tricked you into cheating.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot. 30 and 18, that's a red flag.
I said it on the podcast before that I went on a date with somebody when I was 19 who was like 32.
Yeah.
Or something, and like at the time, it makes you feel so
mature,
grown up, and interesting and different, and not like the other girls. But like in retrospect, as someone who is 32 now, who was just working in the show that I was working on, most of the cast members were, between 17 and 21, and like working with them, I'm just like, there's so much.
We are not the same.
That has happened.
Same.
Yeah. And I can like appreciate you. I can appreciate you for everything that you are. And I love you, but I love them like little siblings. Like I don't love, I would never, there's nothing. No.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. No, that's hard. I've talked about like dating my substitute teacher in my senior year. And that is, I thought at the time very much so that I was holding my own in conversations with an adult, and I look back now and I'm like, it's so cringe to me, like how I was not holding up and how he wasn't interested in the conversation at all. It's just like, it's just
you're
cringe.
a hot bitch and I'm going to get laid.
Yeah.
That's all they care about.
Yeah.
Well, do you guys want to take 5 and come back with my Tainted Love?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
And we're back.
Okay, you guys. Well, I did my Tainted Love this week. It was a whole journey. It was a whole ass journey.
I saw your text yesterday where you're like, I'm on my 3rd Tainted Love
Yes.
option.
I hate those weeks.
Yeah.
Me too. I've had those weeks too. I have so many like unfinished Google Docs of like half written stories where halfway through I was like, actually, no.
So I started with one that is like literally actively happening right now. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like, it's a little bit of a wild journey. The problem is it's the cyclist who was killed in Austin almost like a week after we were there, which is wild. But the it's so up in the air right now because the woman who they think may have done it, who they're pretty sure did it actually, is on the lam, and they haven't found her yet. And so it's a little bit too fresh, too unfolding. I do think it'll probably be a good story for a later date once there's more information out, but it just kind of felt like, oh, it's just so much is still happening.
It's hard sometimes when a story is so new that to get context. You can get what happens,
That's right.
but then it's like, then it's a 5-minute story. You don't have
so much of
context.
it involves some hindsight too, you know, because like think about the way that we change our minds about things, you know, years down the line.
Nuance. And then the other one I was looking at was, it was too heavy. Too heavy. You know, like, do you sometimes start at one and you're like, I don't want to ruin lives today.
No,
that's not where I'm at.
I've done that a couple times where I'm just like, actually, I feel gross. Writing this.
That's
like,
exactly
I don't want
right.
to say this out loud to anybody, so we're just going to tuck that away for now.
Yeah. maybe there's a time for it. I don't know. So I was panicking and I was like, I need to find a good story. I got to find something that feels not that awful, but also, yeah. So anyway, I landed on this. I got most of my information from a show on Oxygen called Love and Death in the Time of COVID is the name of the episode. The show is totally escaping my brain right now because apparently I didn't write it. I just wrote the name of the episode.
Got it.
So I'll come back. That'll be in the show notes. Don't worry. I'll put it in there, guys. Also, a Miami New Times article by Michael Mayakovich.
Sounds great.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, Florida. Always love it when we take a trip down south.
We are taking a trip to Florida.
Bienvenido a Miami.
Exactly. So this actually takes place in Jupiter, Florida. Gretchen Crane is a beautiful blonde, vibrant teacher. She's from Jupiter, Florida. She is married to a guy named Jeff. Her and her husband actually share a child together, and they're trying to make it work, but it's just not really panning out. Her and her husband are, they'd known each other for a long time, waited a long time to get married, and then just kind of after they got married, it just didn't work. It's not working out. But they're going to this gym, and she meets this guy at their gym who actually is a personal trainer, and his name is David Anthony. He is 6'7". He's a former basketball player. He is a personal trainer at the gym, and he's definitely like, is he hot or is he just tall? Mm-hmm. He's super tall, and he's actually very good looking.
I do feel like this is a vibe. It's like, and I'm basing this on absolutely nothing, but I'm just like 2 first names, 6'7". Feels like a red flag. I'm like, this is a walking red flag.
It is.
It is. Personal trainer at a gym. Yeah. I'm like, I'm.
And he
danger.
He is obsessed with Kobe Bryant. Like, he is a huge basketball fan. He used to play, so he's just like a big overall basketball, like super into it. Really, really like basketball is like a vibe for him. It's actually one of the things that got him into doing sports is that he kind of used to have some like real like insecurities when he was younger. He started playing basketball, which helped some of these insecurities, helped him become, kind of come into his own. He started doing personal training because of the same reason. It helped him, and he wanted to help others by helping them grow.
Yeah, so, I've known people who are really, really tall. You know, like
my ex like was they're really, really people. Tall. It sounds like they're fake. Like I actually knew somebody who was really tall.
No, but like because six other than Shaq, which we all know, my good personal friend Shaq. Yes. But besides him, 6'7" is like unusually tall. It's very, very tall. And I feel like there's so much fixation on shortness. Like so many guys are so worried about being short that we don't often think about like how insecure people who are that tall can be.
Oh, right.
Because I've known people who are 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
And there's a lot of insecurity that goes into that as well, you know, and I just don't think we ever acknowledge that because we're like, tall is good, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, something that's good to acknowledge is just like, and I try to think of it too when I'm having like an insecure day, is that everybody's insecure. The grass is always greener. Short people want to be tall. Tall people would rather be short. Mm-hmm. Curly hair would rather be straight. You know, it's so true. Everything is like
light eyes wish I had brown eyes. Yeah. Brown eyes wish I had blue. You're absolutely right. Everybody wants to be something that they're not.
Right.
And I think that's for sure. Everybody has insecurities, and his seemed to like manifest in kind of a dark way for a while, but it really was basketball. It was personal training. It was getting fit, being fit and healthy was like just kind of like his thing that got him out of that. And so, you know, like being a personal trainer was something he was really passionate about. And again, they hadn't met at a gym. He had done a couple of training sessions for her. When her friend was like, literally, she goes, when they saw each other, like this is from an outsider. She was like, I saw the sparks fly. Wow. Between the two of them. And she was still married at the time. And she was like, these two, what's happening? You know, she was like, there is chemistry, like with a capital chem. Mm-hmm. And they, you know, it was just one of those things that just like they saw each other and like instantly were smitten. The marriage was already kind of falling apart. They did end up, her and Jeff ended up having a fairly amicable divorce. They did share a daughter together. So they, you know, of course, had to stay part of each other's lives. David seemed really into like playing Mr. Stepdad. Like he was super into the role. He loved his stepdaughter. You know, they weren't married yet at the time, but he immediately was smitten with her, wanted to, you know, really be an active participant in her life as well. And they literally divorced down relationships start, you know, I mean, she went right into this relationship with David. It was like energy immediately. In 2015, only 3 years later, they did get married. Only 3 years. 3 years is a good time to know somebody. Yeah. I think 3 years feels like a good window of time to like get to know someone, find out they're the right person, get married.
Yeah.
So 3 years later, they get married. And, but it wasn't really long after that things started to kind of go off the rails. All those childhood insecurities for some reason started to kind of resurface, and he generally was becoming more moody, kind of almost, they describe him as becoming almost very unstable. Like 1 minute he seems fine, he's doing great, and then the next minute just really, really kind of, not to like psychoanalyze somebody that we don't know anything about, but it does seem like there's just real strong mood swings is the way that it's described.
I wonder what happened or what changed.
They don't really go into it. It doesn't seem like much really changed. It kind of just feels like maybe past things have come up to the surface. But also too, it is hard. Again, I'm not a therapist. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. It does feel, though, that there is something, the way that everyone describes, as though there is something that happens to him almost chemically that he just changes. Like he just changes a lot of those. Again,
isn't that terrifying, though?
Yeah. That's very scary.
The terrifying like aspect of like, you think, you know, Eric and I are going to be together for 3 years this year. And it's like, at this point, I'm like, I know him.
Yeah.
I know him.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Do you?
But that's the thing. It's like, and that's the thing that makes this so difficult to understand, because it just feels like there's a switch, right? Mm-hmm. At any rate,
people are also always just changing and evolving. And there is something chemical that happens like every 7 years, like to your cells. Like your cells are always like regenerating.
Right.
I'm not a scientist, so please don't quote me on this, but like I read it somewhere or I heard it on a podcast. Let's be real.
Is this another one of your wet bones?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, that is something. And, I might as well just share with the listeners so that we can all be uncomfortable. I was so bored in this last week that I was just like going through like BuzzFeed articles, and it's like
and sending us the weirdest shit. Dude. She sends us a picture with a fact that like your bones are wet. I'm like,
okay.
First of all, are you okay?
First of all,
well, listen,
they're inside of a wetness. So,
but you don't think about it. Yeah. Like you really, I don't know. I've never thought about it. Okay, so I'm going to read. This is so off topic, but I'm going to read it anyway.
Oh my God. That
your living bones feel wet and a little soft. They are also slightly flexible so they can absorb pressure. It's just the thought of like
wet
squishy
bones. Yeah, I don't like it.
Anyway, but anyway, yes, your body is always changing is what I'm trying to say.
You're like, and my point being the body changes. Anyway, oh my God.
Now that you all know how to live with that knowledge.
Yeah, great. Good to know. Yeah.
Squishy bones.
They actually decide to take a trip to a yoga retreat. Like the relationship's kind of on the rocks. They're like, you know what we need? We need a break. We need like a good mental break. We need to take a breather. A yoga retreat sounds just the trick. We'll go to Maui.
Sounds amazing. I want to go on a yoga retreat. That sounds great.
It does. It sounds actually so amazing. So they decide to go to Maui, get a break. But David, while they're there, has a serious episode that leads him to be removed from the group. The counselors are like, they pull him from the group for everyone's safety and are like, we need to kind of have some one-on-one work with you just to monitor him and do some like personal counseling. I mean,
so that's really serious.
Yeah,
for
very
like
serious.
It's not just something that's happening within the relationship. Like he's having trouble regulating in public around other people.
Yeah.
It's very scary. In 2017, so not long after this, they come back from their trip. Things aren't going well. And I think that at that time, they had already, I think for Gretchen, she'd already been kind of like, I don't know, like what's going on. I think I may have to leave this relationship. But he has a freak accident while he's working on his car. The jack that's holding it up slips and the car falls on him. He ends up having an awful accident. He ends up having like a brain injury.
Oh no.
Yeah, not great, right? So she stays with him. She helps him through this. She literally nurses him back to health, like through this whole accident. But his mood swings don't change. It doesn't change him for the better, that's for sure. And it doesn't.
Head injuries? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, has he been to like a specialist at this point at all to deal with his mood swings? Like, have they tried to address it that way? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think that basically the only talk of like real like therapy or anything was really just the retreat that they went on. And it sounds like the counselors there. And I'm like, that's not that kind of retreat. Those people
did not
sign up for that.
Yeah,
no.
They were not ready.
They're like, this is for yoga, meditation, mindfulness,
they're like, we can offer you a green juice. That's the best we can do.
Exactly. We can fix you spiritually, but
yes. And that was actually one of the things too. It kind of felt like, so his friends were saying like he was starting to get into a lot of this like positive thought mentality, mindfulness, and really kind of going down that rabbit hole. Which, I think in general, everybody's like, yeah, that should be great. You're opening up those windows to yourself and a self-exploration, but it feels like.
But if you have like a chemical imbalance or something like a serious mental issue, like mindfulness is not a substitute for therapy, medication,
that's right.
Other,
That's absolutely right.
It's because I am a big proponent of like mindfulness, meditation, all that stuff. I think it's very, very helpful, but it's to be used in conjunction with other things. If you have something medically wrong with you, meditation isn't going to fix that.
Right.
You're going to need to, I don't know, go see a specialist. Maybe be put on some medication or something.
It honestly, everybody said it actually seemed to, I don't want to say make it worse, but kind of did in the way that it like started like, it was like, sure, you can work on yourself, but you're opening up windows and doors that maybe you're not prepared to deal with.
Oh.
And so the mindfulness almost made it worse. So who knows what like that was opening up for him, but it seemed to make him worse. The mood swings were now seriously becoming out of control. David starts again doing these kind of like self-help things. Behavior just makes it more erratic, it makes it escalate. In fall of 2019, Gretchen has had enough and asks David to move out. Now, as you know, we also lived through fall of 2019.
Yeah.
So as this is happening, we are also starting to hear about this thing called COVID. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So at the same time, there's a lot that's happening. Also, he's an avid fan of a major basketball player, Kobe Bryant.
Oh, no.
And we also understand what happened with Kobe happened right around that time as well.
Oh, my goodness.
His death, Kobe's death, literally sends him into a tailspin. His boss, the owner of the gym that he works at, said she walked into the place. He is sobbing, like a personal friend of his has died. He is in the lobby.
A lot of people reacted that way.
For sure. But this was, she was like, this is more than that. She was like, he was literally in the lobby of the gym, like basically putting on like this speech, this like full speech about Kobe Bryant, like almost like an epitaph, like like he was eulogizing him in front of the gym. Like it was just like the most awkward, like everybody was like, oh my God, dude, you didn't actually know,
That's
it. Literally triggered him. There was something, she was like, it was that point. She goes like, he literally, it was like a flip switched in him. It was like, you went from like mood swings to like, it just like really triggered him. It was like the last straw or something. I mean, his marriage is falling apart. He's been asked to move out. His idol dies in a tragic accident. The owner is like, he's showing up late to his classes.
Now he's going to lose his job.
He gets fired from his job.
Oh.
So then the owner too is like, knows that Gretchen's been dealing with this project for quite a while. And honestly, she's like, you cannot fix him. She texts him, Gretchen, and is like, Gretchen, I just have to let you know, like, I did let him go from his job, just kind of so that she's aware, like, be on the lookout. Like, he's not going to be in a great headspace. You cannot fix him.
Wow.
And it's got to be pretty bad if
Dude Face's boss is like
contacting you.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, at the same time, fucking COVID. So,
I feel like we didn't talk about that much at the time during the year and a half or whatever, but I definitely saw articles about the rates of DV and that sort of thing just went through the
went way up.
Roof. It's terrifying. It's so tragic.
It is. It's very scary. It's very scary to think, and about the people who you're now stuck at home with these people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for Gretchen, she had already kicked him out. He'd been living with his mom. So I think that she felt a little bit safer about it. But all of a sudden, we're hitting February, March. Her friends start getting texts from Gretchen, saying that, you guys, I've got the COVID. I'm actually in an undisclosed facility, a CDC facility in Belglade. So she's telling all her friends, like, I caught the COVID. I have it. I am very, very sick. The texts, though, are like fucking wild, right?
Well, I mean, even that little bit that you've just said, with all the hindsight that we now have,
that's right.
Like maybe that would have flown in the beginning.
That's right.
When we had so little knowledge of how all of this worked, but like immediately no, like having as much like hindsight as we have, we're just like, you're in a secure CDC facility.
Can you imagine like if I texted that to you guys like in March of last year? Would you be like, wait, what?
I would have been, wait, what? I think maybe that person a year ago or, might have been
at the beginning, at the very beginning.
2 years. This is 2 years ago. At the very beginning, might have been like, wow, that's really serious. And then I'd have been like, but let me read actually one of the texts, because her friends are like, these texts are a bit wild. Let me read you one. It's this kind of the middle of the text says, I am on a ventilator, all caps. First of all, red flag. You're on a ventilator, but you're texting me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on a ventilator due to coronavirus strain MERS-CoV. It's capital MERS-CoV.
Who would text their friends that way?
Which causes Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, MERS. Half of my right lung has begun to fail. All I need now is rest. If you texted me that, Christina, first of all, I'd be like, I'm sorry, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. I'm getting on the Googs.
Yeah, exactly. Immediately
on the Googs.
Just copy it and paste it.
I don't know about that. Again, maybe March 2020 me might be like, this is much more serious than we thought.
I would be interested to read her other text messages because I'm just like, does anyone text like that anyway?
True.
Like if you were texting your friends, if I was texting you, I wouldn't say it like that. I would be like, I'm really sick. I have COVID. This is what it is.
I feel pretty confident that if Tony was texting as you, we would be able to know. Do you know what I mean? Because you have a very specific cadence and a way that you text. Or like, Emerson texting instead of Amy. We would know. We would know immediately because first of all, it wouldn't come in like that.
It wouldn't come in 13 separate text messages, one sentence at a time. Yeah.
But it's like, your friends' voices. Yes. Even if it's text, it's still like I read your texts in your voice,
We just got a text from Mackenzie and it is in all caps.
Yep. Yes, exactly.
So I'm like, that's Mackenzie texting.
Yeah, all caps, exactly. So anyway, friends reach out to the police because her friends are like, nah, this ain't her. And they're like, hey, so this is weird. And the police are like, yeah, it's super fucking weird. There is no CDC center in Belglade, first of all. So that can't be right. None of this makes sense. Right off. Mm-hmm. So they do, they actually take it seriously. Surprising. And they go look for her car. They find her car at the Jupiter Medical Center, which is where she had told her friends that she initially had gone, but that the Jupiter Medical Center had sent her to this secured CDC thing. So it's like, okay, well, her car's here. So they reach out to the medical center like, hey, do you know this woman who owns this car? And they're like, no, she's never checked in. We have no record.
Oh.
So she wasn't even there. So the other thing that's like really red flag is that she hasn't seen her daughter. And Jeff was also receiving these texts from her like, hey, I'm in the hospital. I'm really sick. And Jeff's like, okay, like, where are you? And he immediately found out she wasn't there because he called the hospital right away. He's like, she would never go without seeing her daughter. This is not normal. He's immediately red flags. He's like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right.
And so, and again, these texts, he doesn't believe them immediately. I mean, you're married to somebody,
right?
You know how someone talks to you, right? So the police do a welfare check. They get into her building. They do the walkthrough. They actually show it too because they have the cameras on, so you can see like the place is a little disheveled, like the bed's a mess. Otherwise, though, it smells like cleaning supplies and bleach. And they're like, that doesn't feel right. So they end up getting a warrant, and once they do a real thorough check, they see that the security cameras that she had set up in her home are all ripped off. Like they've all been ripped down.
Well, that's not suspicious at all.
No, I mean, I also do that when I leave town.
Yeah, every time. Just rip them straight out of the wall. Also, this is why I keep my house at like a low level of like slightly messy all the time. That way, if you guys walk in and you're like, it smells like bleach in here, something's wrong.
Exactly.
See, Cassie's house kind of always smells a little like bleach because she cleans a lot.
She's very clean.
So we wouldn't know. We just wouldn't know.
Oh, no. I'm going to stop cleaning immediately. Sorry. Anyway, but I guess that's the other thing. If you came in my house and it was a mess, you'd be like, I mean, I guess it is a bit of a mess right now, but if it was really messy, you'd be like, no,
something's wrong. Yeah.
You would know.
Yeah.
So the security cameras have been ripped off. They do find, though, that the receiver for the cameras is still there. And so they reach out to the company to see if any of the camera footage has still been left on the cloud. And meanwhile, back again at the medical center where the medical center parking lot where the car had been recovered, the cameras there showed it was not her that had parked it there. Now police are trying to reach out to David because they're like, you have this estranged husband. Let's find out what his scoop is. So they go to his mom's house and they're like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, Mom, have you seen David? And she's like, no. She was like, he said something about going to Costa Rica because he's so frightened of the COVID. She goes, and they were like, what about Gretchen? She's like, no, but I did just get a weird text from her this morning that said that she has the COVID and that she's in this facility. So she's also, I mean, like they're filming her too. So you get to see the interaction. It was actually like, she's definitely does not have a clue what's going on.
Oh, no.
So they are like, okay, what is going on with this guy? So they end up finding that David actually has a criminal background. He had actually changed his name from David Deutsch to David Anthony. So not even the same person. No one fucking knows that because he legally was able to change his name, even though he has a criminal fucking record. He had held up a video store a long time ago. He had gotten in trouble for assaulting a police officer. So we're not talking about like some low level, you got some weed on you crimes. Like these are like gun hold up. Violent crimes.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, first of all, I didn't think you were allowed to
change your name if you have a criminal background. I actually have never thought that. So yeah, it does seem like something you shouldn't be allowed to do.
Right? You should not be able to do that. Anyway, 7 days before his arrest, though, too, there's another thing that they find out that local authorities had been called to a parking lot of a mall where some teenage girls were like, there's this weird guy. He was trying to talk to us. It was a weird interaction. This is literally, like I said, 7 days before Gretchen disappears. And he was arrested for resisting arrest. Like literally, again, body cam footage. They show him and he's like hiding between his truck and another car. And the police walk over and they're like, get up. And he doesn't, and then he does, and then he opens his car door and tries to get in, and they're like, no. And so they arrest him. I mean, it was wild. This guy gets out of jail because he bails himself out and is now on the street. Literally resisting arrest was light for this guy, honestly.
It sounds like somebody that has been in a mental health crisis
yes.
for like a very, very long time and has received no help,
no care,
care for it. And then the consequences of this are going to be awful.
Yeah, they are going to be awful. So at this point, though, this was 7 days before Gretchen disappeared. So now let's catch up to we're now 3 or 4 days after Gretchen disappears. They are trying to find out where the hell is David. So they start following his cell phone path and see that he has a travel path that he had ended up in Gulf Breeze, which is 600 miles away on the border of like where Florida and Louisiana meet. And they see that he had stopped at a pawn shop. So they get a hold of the pawn shop. The guy is like, oh yeah, he was here. This is him. He sold me a bunch of jewelry. He said he had a family member just recently die of COVID. So he was pawning off a bunch of jewelry of theirs. So that story. So then now the family is like, I'm sorry, what? What?
Yeah.
The fuck is happening? Like, where is Gretchen? No one knows where she's at.
Also, what month are we in now?
It's the same month. This is literally just 3 days after, 3 to 4 days after she disappeared.
March, April?
I'm sorry, March. Sorry.
March. Okay, because I'm like, what pawn shop was open? I got distracted because I was just like,
it's Florida.
There sure weren't any pawn shops open in LA.
No.
In those first however many months.
Well, I think that this is like probably right before the actual lockdown, right? So because I flew back home from in March, right? Because
we were doing stuff. I think Eric moved in like right as the shutdown was happening, which was in the 20s, March 20 something.
Yeah, well,
whatever.
My last day. Well, it was before that because my birthday's March 20th. And we were already locked down. My last day at work was March 13th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But also,
my last flight home was right then, too.
Florida.
I mean, true. There you go. Pawn shop. I mean, come on.
I love all of our Florida listeners, but it's like...
Yes, I forgot.
You guys have a track record.
You guys know. You know.
You know. So they continue to track him and see that his phone is pinging off towers that are going through Texas into New Mexico. Officers locate him in New Mexican Las Cruces, New Mexico. Now, the other thing that they notice is that during the same path and along the same path, Gretchen's phone is also pinging off these towers. So they're like, well, either Gretchen's with him
or her phone is.
Her phone is at the very least, right? So the police officers in New Mexico do find him. They track him down. They track his truck down. They find him. They do arrest him, but there's nothing they can hold him on. There's no body. There's no actual crime. He's just driving around and happens to have his ex's phone. I mean, like, that's not technically a crime, right? But they do take the truck in to investigate the truck. They do keep that. So basically, yeah, they don't keep him. They can't keep him arrested, but he doesn't have really any place to go now because his truck is there. Now what? So he ends up just kind of, I guess, living on the streets. They don't really know what happens to him for about a week or so. But it's during this time that all this is kind of happening that he ends up calling the officers in Florida, and they're like, hey guys, so I know you're looking for Gretchen. I just wanted to let you know that I just got off the phone with her. I talked to her this morning. She's scared for her life. She's going to be a whistleblower for this company she works for. She's been in contact with the IRS. She's been in contact with like all these companies. And they're like,
that's a big lie. Sir. It's a big lie. Like, and like, granted, we're talking about somebody who is not in a good mental place.
Right.
But I mean, in general, you can't lie that big. Like,
right.
Don't just stop right there. Don't call. Just no reason to call. Anyway, so it's also at this time that they're getting this video surveillance footage back from the company. They did have it on the cloud, and they were able to see what happened.
Oh.
So they're going through the video recordings of her house, and it shows David. He's on the porch pacing. He has duct tape in his hands. He's just pacing back and forth on her front porch. And finally, she comes to the door. So who knows, like, how long he'd been there or whatever, like, asking what's going on. He goes she opens the door to him, and the next thing they see is her being dragged from into the garage. They see her blonde hair is now red. They also catch some audio recording.
No.
The audio recording is her yelling, Alexa, call 911. But she didn't have it programmed to do that. She didn't have it set up.
Oh, no.
So I
feel like that should be a built-in feature.
Did I check my Alexa last night? And it was like, you're not set up for this feature. I'm like, well, I need to do some research today.
I thought it automatically did that.
I think everybody thought that. So I am glad I learned that. That was like,
thank you for sharing that information.
For worsties, check your Amazon devices and make sure that they're set up because
and or Siri.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I'm like, if I was in this situation, or if I would automatically, hey Siri or Alexa, blah blah blah. See, my Siri already was like, what's up? What you need?
I need you to save my life.
Right. Well, unfortunately, it did not do that. They do, though, have all the evidence they need really at this point. So they do find him in New Mexico. That was also the other thing. It was like the officers are like, how are we going to even get to New Mexico? Everything is literally shut down at this point now, right? So this is like, now everything's shut down. Flights are being canceled. They're like, how are we going to even get to New Mexico to get this guy?
Yeah.
So they end up being able to find a flight that gets them to New Mexico. They find him at a gas station parking lot. He steady. When I tell you, he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's still alive. He is. He is so believable that he believes himself. Like, I don't think he would probably pass a polygraph. That's how much he believes himself at this point.
It just seems terrible. It just seems like just mentally.
He's detached from it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this just seems tragic in every way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's awful. And he literally, he's like, no, she is still alive. I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, we have video footage of you pretty much killing her. Like, we have this footage. We see you doing this. And he's like, no, she's still alive. Wow. I mean, it is wild.
To me, this sounds like a break. Like, he just had like a real break.
I mean, unacceptable in every turn, of course. Because I mean,
of course.
And the police are like, the attorneys are like, we are going to charge him. We are going to charge him. We're going to go for the full penalty. This is premeditated. He went there with duct tape. He clearly planned to do something. So I'm like, it's
well, and then he took steps to cover it up. Like he sent text messages from her phone. He took out the cameras. He left town. Like all of those things are indicators that on some level, whether or not he's consciously able to acknowledge it or not, he knew that
he knew what he was going to do.
Something wrong.
That's absolutely right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they do charge him with first-degree murder. And again, he's just insistent. They're like, look, we want to know where she's at. Her family deserves to have a proper burial. Just tell us where she is. They end up giving him 38 years if he pleads guilty and if he gives up where she's buried. He finally does. He had buried her at an assisted living facility not far away.
Horrible.
He was able to lead them right to her, and her family was able to have a proper burial for her. It's sad, but this is the other thing too. It's like, they're like, oh, he'll spend his life in prison. No, he'll spend 38 years in prison. That's not, and who knows if he serves all that time.
Right.
And the big picture is he probably needs full mental rehabilitation, as well.
And yeah, chances of him getting that in a real way is, oh, that's so.
Yeah.
Mental health in this country is, don't even get me started. Wrong podcast for that, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, when we start our second podcast, Hot Takes with My Worst Date, we'll have a full conversation about all of that. But I mean, it's tragic in every single way. But also, and this is something that comes up so often on this podcast during this portion of the podcast, is how terrifying it is to love somebody and know somebody and have somebody in your home every day and either not really know them or know them and then watch them change.
Yeah.
And how scary that can be, and the consequences of that. It's terrifying. It's so hard to trust already.
Yeah.
That whenever you finally get to a place where you are trusting someone, and whether they either through deceit or circumstances outside of their control, like a mental breakdown, they change.
Yeah.
Right in front of you. Like it's just so scary.
Yeah. Definitely. I'll put in the show notes too, like, there are hotlines and there are like places that you can go if you or a partner are suffering through a mental health crisis. It's something that we should definitely point out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, that was a good one, Cass, though. I'd never heard it, so thank you for sharing.
I think that because COVID was the only topic we were talking about at the time, it did fall under the radar. And it was interesting, too, because it was really utilizing something scary that was already happening to help mask a devastating, awful thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, palate cleanser.
Yeah. What are we watching and or reading this week?
Well, here's a palate cleanser for you. So I was so bummed just with everything that was happening this week. I was really in a depressy spiral there for like a minute.
Stressy, depressy.
Yeah. I was like, what can I do to make myself feel a little bit better? And so I put on Bridget Jones' Diary.
There you go.
I love that movie. I am gonna make you guys watch it for Tainted Love movie at some point though, because that movie is such a comfort.
It's wild.
It is such a comfort watch for me, but is it like there are so many things about it that I'm just like, first of all, are you trying to tell me that Renee Zellweger at like 140 pounds
is fat?
Like, the movie really tries to convince you that she has like a major issue.
It's the same.
And she's like unlovable because she's 32.
Around the same time, that other Love Actually came out.
Yes.
When his assistant was supposed to be like chunky or whatever, and I'm like,
honey.
she looks fucking amazing. What are we doing?
The whole movie is built on this premise that like Bridget Jones, how unlovable she is because she's 32 and quote unquote overweight. Okay. It is so...
it's problematic for sure.
So much to discuss. So problematic. I will say though, both Colin Firth and Hugh Grant, very hot in that movie.
Yeah.
And it is still a go-to comfort watch for me, even though it is problematique.
Yeah.
I had such a crush on Hugh Grant back then.
He's really cute in that movie.
Looking, yeah.
And he's such an asshole.
Oh,
but
I think the Hugh Grant crush movie for me was that one he did with Sandy Bullock.
Oh, the
2 weeks notice.
Yes.
I watched all of those. For me, it was Notting Hill. Notting Hill was
yeah.
Mwah.
I haven't seen 2 weeks notice, and gosh, I watched it one time. I don't remember liking it for some reason.
It's not a good movie.
No, it's not. It's not good. Sandy Bullock is classic Sandy, and she's like, her shtick in that is that she always orders like a lot of Chinese food.
Okay. A sad single woman kind of thing again. I mean, I still enjoy it. I would watch that movie again. It's one of those just like comfort watches, but it is by no means a good movie.
Got it.
No.
Well, my comfort this week has been watching, binging this show on Amazon Prime. I have the Acorn thing.
Okay.
And it's a British show called Queens of Mystery. And it's it's like just little quirky mystery, solved in 2 episodes type of serial type of thing. It's actually pretty fun. It's like, as far as like, they're just little mysteries.
Yeah.
I mean, they're murder mysteries, but it's, 4 women, 3 aunts, and 1 younger woman who's DS. So it's cute.
Love it. Give me a women-led British procedural any day of the week.
Yeah. Yep.
I am for it.
You'd love it.
I would love it.
Yeah. It's on its 2nd season, so I'm all caught up on season 2 right now. So yeah, it's cute. You would like it, I think, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're fast running out of like things to watch, and we were just like looking for a series to sink our teeth into because we finished Ozark, which was an incredible journey. I'm so glad that I finally watched that show. We tried to get into Westworld because I remember I really liked season 1, watched 1 episode of season 2 and was like, don't like this anymore.
Yep. I did the same thing.
I tried. We watched 3 episodes of season 2 and I'm like, it's awful. Don't like this anymore.
No, life's too short and there's too much to watch.
That's right.
There's a million things on a million streaming platforms. You don't need to do it.
Right. So yeah. And then the other thing I did was I downloaded a book related to my Tainted Love for next week's episode. So I have actually
cliffhanger.
I really can't wait to share that with you guys. So
I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have something we should watch or stories that you want to share with us, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworststatepodcast.com, and we love you so much. Cheers.